Warning: this program contains graphic content and frightening scenes. Viewer discretion is advised. Enter at your own risk. 5 chilling, mysterious, unsolved murder cases that will haunt you. Welcome to your channel, Top Fives. Today, we're delving into the realm of the unknown, with 5 chilling, mysterious, unsolved murder cases that will haunt you. Get ready to uncover the secrets behind some of the most perplexing, unsolved cases. Buckle up as we journey through tales of darkness and deception. Let's dive in. Number 1. The Black Dahlia. On a chilly morning in January 1947, a woman pushing a stroller near Leimert Park in Los Angeles stumbled upon a gruesome sight. Lying in the grass was what appeared to be a mannequin, split in half. As she approached, horror washed over her as she realized it was the bisected body of a young woman. The victim was identified as Elizabeth Short, a 22-year-old aspiring actress known as the Black Dahlia. Elizabeth Short had come to Los Angeles from Medford, Massachusetts, with dreams of Hollywood fame. However, her life was fraught with instability and uncertainty. She had dropped out of high school and struggled to find steady work and accommodation, often relying on the generosity of acquaintances. 6 days before her body was discovered, Elizabeth was given a ride back to Los Angeles by a traveling salesman named Red Manley. He recalled her being visibly agitated during the journey and dropped her off at the Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles, marking the last time she was seen alive. The investigation into Elizabeth's murder led to Mark Hansen, a Danish millionaire and the operator of the Florentine Gardens, a popular dance club in Hollywood. Elizabeth had lived intermittently at his Carlos Avenue home, where dancers and aspiring actresses congregated. Ann Toth, a friend and sometimes roommate of Elizabeth, revealed Hansen's deep obsession with the young woman. He was possessive and jealous, forbidding Elizabeth from bringing other men to the house and displaying unrequited sexual interest in her. Elizabeth's relationship with Hansen reached a breaking point in early November 1946, leading to her eviction from his property after a heated argument. Despite this, Elizabeth had called Hansen the night before her murder, and he claimed she never showed up, denying any romantic involvement to the police. An envelope containing Elizabeth's belongings, including her social security card and address book with Hansen's name, was sent to the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner on January 21st. While initially implicating Hansen, his alibi, supported by witnesses, placed him elsewhere during the time of the murder. Police did not search his properties or vehicles for evidence, and the case remains unsolved to this day. The Black Dahlia murder captivated the city of Los Angeles, becoming emblematic of the darkness beneath the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. Decades later, the mystery persists, with Elizabeth Short's tragic death remaining one of the most infamous unsolved murders in American history. Number 2. The Boy in the Box. if you're captivated by unsolved murder mysteries, don't miss out. Hit subscribe, like, and share to keep the mystery going. Thanks for being a part of it. On February 25th, 1957, the body of a young boy was discovered in a box in the Fox Chase section of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The box was discarded in a wooded area off Susquehanna Road near Fox Chase Road. A college student named Frederick Bananas stumbled upon the box while walking through the area. Initially mistaking it for a discarded doll, Bananas approached and made the gruesome discovery of the boy's body wrapped in a plaid blanket. The boy, estimated to be between 4 and 6 years old, was found naked except for the blanket wrapped around him. He had bruises on his face, torso, and legs, indicating possible abuse prior to his death. His hair was crudely cut, suggesting amateur grooming. The child had blue eyes and dark brown hair. The exact cause of death could not be determined due to the advanced state of decomposition, but it was suspected to be due to blunt force trauma. Numerous theories emerged regarding the boy's identity and the circumstances surrounding his death. Some speculated that he was a victim of child trafficking, while others believed he may have been a victim of familial abuse. There were also theories suggesting that he may have been a victim of a botched illegal abortion or a child born out of wedlock and abandoned by his mother. Despite decades of investigation and public interest, the boy in the box case remains unsolved. However, it has sparked renewed interest in recent years, with amateur sleuths and investigative journalists continuing to pursue leads and theories in hopes of finally identifying the boy and bringing closure to the case. In a breakthrough development in 2022, the decades-long mystery surrounding the identity of the boy in the box was finally solved. Through diligent efforts and advancements in forensic technology, the boy was positively identified as 4-year-old Joseph Augustus Zarelli. Joseph's identification shed new light on the case, revealing that he had been cleaned and freshly groomed before his tragic demise. His hair had been recently cut and his fingernails trimmed, indicating some level of care or grooming prior to his death. However, the grim reality of Joseph's fate was revealed through the autopsy findings, which determined that he had died as a result of homicide, specifically blunt force trauma. This heartbreaking revelation brought a sense of closure to the case. Joseph Augustus Zarelli case is a haunting and tragic mystery, serving as a reminder of the vulnerability of children and the importance of solving cold cases. Despite the passage of time, the memory of Joseph Augustus Zarelli continues to captivate the public imagination, with many hoping that one day his killer's identity will be revealed and justice will be served. Number 3. The Death of Eliesa Lam. Eliesa Lam, known to her peers at the University of British Columbia in Canada. In popular culture, as a bright, thoughtful, and imaginative student, carried a dual burden. Her passion for fashion and writing was overshadowed by the haunting of bipolar disorder and mental suppression. With these characteristics in mind, it's important to remember Eliesa Lam as a human being, not a diagnosis. She was a promising student and had a plethora of ideas about the world. She had a family, hobbies, and most importantly, a future. Unfortunately, it was cut short of its potential. These internal struggles eventually led to her mysterious disappearance and tragic demise. let us delve into the bizarre circumstances surrounding Eliesa Lam's confusing and tragic end. Eliesa Lam was born on April 30th, 1991 in Vancouver, British Columbia, to immigrant parents from Hong Kong, David and Yina Lam. Her parents opened up a restaurant in Burnaby, Canada, and the family helped operate the popular dining spot called Paul's Restaurant for years. In 2010, Eliesa started her first blog on the internet titled Ether Fields. Throughout the next couple of years, she used the platform to showcase her love of fashion and clothing, often posting magazine articles and fashion-related photography. She would also openly speak about her struggles with mental illness, constantly fearing her transcript would show her frequently dropped classes and sporadic college attendance. However, she also wrote honestly about her thoughts and ideas on psychology, emotion, and the human spirit. Throughout these blogs, she kept records of her own musings while sharing stories that reflected a bright mind and intelligent thinker. In her final blog on Ether Fields, Eliesa announced she would be transferring her energy and social media presence to Tumblr, starting a page called Nouvelle Nouveau, translated as News New. On her page, Eliesa shared thousands of images and pieces of writing, both her own and from various authors. It was apparent on Tumblr that she held deep-rooted interests in classical books and films, experimental art and design, and fashion and culture. Sprinkled amongst these fascinations were bits of dark and brooding images, hinting at a more personal sadness and perhaps conflicted minds full of monsters, melancholy, and misery. In fact, Eliesa did have a history with a couple of psychological disorders, a narrative kept under wraps by her family for months after her disappearance and death. Specifically, she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression. Bipolar disorder is a mental illness that causes depression itself. Eliesa took multiple medications such as Dextrin, Wellbutrin, and mood stabilizers for most of her life. Eliesa functioned without major ramifications as a result of these struggles, and until the fateful trip to Los Angeles in 2013, she had shown zero signs of breakdown or danger to either herself or to others. The next day, January 28th, Eliesa arrives in LA and checks into the Cecil Hotel near Skid Row, a budget motel for tourists in the city, on January 30th. Eliesa's anonymous roommates complain of her odd behavior, and she has moved to a private room on the 5th floor so that she isn't a disturbance to other guests. On January 31st, the last day of her planned visit to LA, Eliesa is seen for the last time by a couple of anonymous hotel workers, and then finally by a clerk, Katie Orphan, at the local bookstore, who mentioned Eliesa was by herself, very lively and very friendly. Orphan also said she was talking about what books she was getting and that it would be too heavy for her to carry around because Eliesa was supposed to check out of the Cecil Hotel that day and travel to Santa Cruz for the last leg of her tour. Eliesa Lam's parents anxiously awaited a phone call, as Eliesa had been in the habit of contacting them every night during her trip. Concern mounted when she stopped reaching out, prompting Mr. and Mrs. Lam to fly to Los Angeles to file a missing persons report. They joined forces with the LAPD in a thorough search throughout the first week of February. Both the Lam couple and the LAPD scoured the Cecil Hotel and its surroundings, hoping to uncover any trace of Eliesa. Despite their efforts, police dogs failed to pick up her scent, and the initial days yielded no clues. Eliesa's room, where she had stayed before her disappearance, revealed no signs of disturbance or suspicious items. adding to the mystery of her sudden vanishing on February 6th. The LAPD released an official statement online regarding Eliesa Lam's disappearance and details surrounding the case, urging citizens to keep an eye out for her profile. A day later, they held a press conference on February 7th, but again received no leads or calls from the general public. Then, on February 14th, the LAPD releases the biggest bombshell in the entire case. An elevator surveillance clip from February 1st showing Eliesa Lam walking in the elevator, pressing a series of buttons and proceeding to act bizarrely. The clip was unsettling, to say the least, but gave investigators one more glimpse into Lam's final sighting and brought the case to worldwide attention. The missing persons search would soon come to an end, however, when on February 19th, a Cecil hotel worker responded to multiple guest complaints about funny smelling in water and low faucet pressure. The employee went up to the rooftop water system, peered into the open tank and discovered Eliesa Lam's naked body floating face up. LAPD was immediately notified, and the water tanks soon became a crime scene. A couple of days thereafter, on February 21st, the Los Angeles Coroner's Office issued a label of Eliesa Lam's death as accidental due to the consequence of drowning with bipolar disorder, as a finding of other conditions contributing but not related to the immediate cause of death on January of 2013. The full coroner's reports, along with the toxicology results, were released to the public as well. While not revealing any massive twists to the mystery, it did note that Eliesa Lam's body was indeed found naked, with her clothes also found in the water tank, covered in a sandy particulate, along with her keys and watch. From here on out, thousands of theories, hypotheticals, conspiracies, and simple casual conversations have been discussed through the following months and years. Nobody seemed to want to stick by the LA Coroner's Office and their findings. Many questioned the police investigation, and even more saw possible holes in the final reports, regardless of the timeline of Eliesa Lam's death. Its direct series of events blossomed into the most talked about the case of the 21st century. For nearly 9 years, amateur sleuths and seasoned investigators have delved into the perplexing case, scrutinizing every available clue. Their efforts, however, have yielded more questions than answers. The enigma of Eliesa Lam's death remains unsolved, waiting for someone to unravel its secrets. As we conclude this chapter on Eliesa Lam's story, let's offer a heartfelt wish for her soul to find peace. May she rest in tranquility, free from the mysteries and uncertainties that plagued her in life. Isdal Woman, also known as the Ice Valley Woman, is a mysterious figure whose story intrigues investigators and the public alike. Name unknown. Birth range approximately 1930 to 1945. Place of origin likely southeast Germany, near Nuremberg, Bavaria. Date of death around November 1970, age 25 to 40. Discovery location Isdalen, also known as the Ice Valley, in Bergen, Norway. Height approximately 164 centimeter. On November 29, 1970, a man and his two young daughters were hiking in the foothills of the north face of Ulriken, in an area known as Isdalen, also nicknamed Death Valley due to its history of suicides and hiking accidents. One of the daughters noticed an unusual burning smell and discovered the charred body of a woman among some scree. The group returned to Bergen to notify the police, marking the beginning of a perplexing investigation. She was found surrounded by burnt-out remains of her possessions, leading investigators to believe that her death was not accidental. One of the most intriguing aspects of the case is the extensive efforts the woman took to conceal her identity. The labels had been removed from her clothing, and the serial numbers on her belongings were scratched off. Even her fingerprints had been deliberately sanded away, making identification extremely challenging. Despite these efforts, investigators managed to uncover some clues. They found 2 suitcases belonging to the woman, containing various disguises, multiple passports with different aliases, and around 500 Deutsche marks. There were also coded messages and cryptic notes found in her belongings, suggesting a possible involvement in espionage or illegal activities. Witnesses reported seeing the woman in the days leading up to her death, describing her as elegant and speaking multiple languages fluently. She often changed hotels and used different names, adding to the mystery surrounding her identity. The autopsy revealed that the Isdal woman had consumed a large number of sleeping pills before her death, leading to speculation that she may have committed suicide. However, the circumstances surrounding her death, including the severe burns and the efforts to conceal her identity, point towards foul play. Despite extensive investigations by Norwegian authorities and Interpol, the Isdal woman's true identity and the circumstances of her death remain unknown to this day. The case has sparked numerous theories and speculation, ranging from espionage to involvement in the criminal underworld. Decades later, the Isdal woman case continues to captivate the public's imagination and remains one of Norway's most enduring unsolved mysteries. Number 5. The Somerton Man. Just after dawn on December 1st, 1948, a sunny summer morning, police were called to investigate reports of a man found on Somerton Beach in southern Australia. The figure, who was fashionably dressed and clean-shaven, was found in a relaxed position, with his head resting against the sea wall and his extended legs crossed, as if taking a nap. Found with no identification, authorities have never been able to identify the man. The question of his real name, the mysterious circumstances of his discovery on the beach, and a link to a still unsolved secret code found in a hidden pocket has led the case to become one of Australia's most profound mysteries. Just who was the Somerton Man, and what was the meaning of the words Tamam Shod found on the scrap of paper he was hiding? Police initially suspected the Somerton man's final moments ended peacefully, as there were no immediate indications of trauma or foul play. After further examination of the man's clothing and possessions, however, authorities had more questions than answers. Not only did the man not have a wallet or identification on his person, but it appeared that he or someone else went through a great deal of effort to conceal his identity. All of the labels on his clothing had been deliberately removed to prevent the garments from being traced, and unusual for 1948, he did not have a hat to complete his outfit. Also, among the items still in his pocket was a ticket leaving town on a train the day before he was found, a ticket that had not been used. The discovery of the secret pocket and mysterious scrap of paper would not come until later. The police coroner, Dr. John Cleland, reported that the man was British in appearance, around 45 years old, and was in top physical condition with clear signs of athletic training. He concluded that the man's time of death was around 2 a.m. on December 1st, just 4.5 hours before he was found on the beach. Despite no external signs suggesting a cause of death, an internal examination revealed far more perplexing details. Among his notes, Dr. Cleland wrote that the man's stomach, liver, and kidneys were deeply congested, and most unusually, the man's spleen was about 3 times the normal size. Though the finding was inconclusive, the coroner remarked that he was quite convinced the death could not have been natural. He further suggested that the symptoms may have been caused by an untraceable poison. As news of the mysterious case spread, witnesses came forward with conflicting accounts of seeing a figure fitting the description of the Somerton man near the beach where he was found. Some reported seeing him pointing at something in the distance before going strangely limp. Others claimed to see another unidentified and similarly well-dressed man carrying someone on his shoulders along the beach the night before. None of the witness accounts, however, could positively and conclusively identify the man they saw the night before as the Somerton man. Stumped investigators turned to send photos, fingerprints, and dental records to intelligence agencies around the world, including the FBI in the United States and Scotland Yard in the UK. No matches were returned. 6 weeks after the Somerton man was found, a suitcase believed to have belonged to him was found in the local railway station. The bag was checked into the cloakroom the morning before he was discovered, and like the man's clothes, the suitcase labels had been deliberately removed. The suitcase contained ordinary things like a change of wardrobe and toiletries, as well as unordinary things like a screwdriver and a few sharp metal instruments. Authorities were hopeful when they found a few garments in the bag marked with the name T. Keen, but this proved to be another dead end. Nobody with that name had been reported as missing in any English-speaking country. It made sense to them that the man probably was not T. Keen, since so much care was taken to remove other tags and conceal the man's identity. An additional tip that the clothing appeared to have been made in the United States went nowhere. At a loss, the coroner went back to re-examine the mystery man and look for any clues he may have missed. It was during the second search that he made what is perhaps the case's most baffling discoveries. First, Dr. Cleland had noticed the man's shoes were pristine and polished, contrary to what one would expect if he had been wandering around town and the beach. Second, the doctor noted that there was no evidence that the man experienced any expected reactions to poisoning. This supported the theory that the man was cleaned up, brought to the beach, and laid out after his death. But the third and most mysterious piece of evidence, Dr. Cleland discovered a scrap of paper carefully rolled up and sewn into the dead man's pants pocket, printed on the paper fragment was Tamam Shod, an ominous Persian phrase meaning ended or finished. It was determined that the paper was a torn corner of the final page of a rare book by 12th century poet Omar Khayyam, known as the Rubaiyat, and a call was made to the public to find the book. Months later, in July 1949, a man brought a copy of the Rubaiyat to the police, accompanied by a strange story. According to the man, he visited the beach with his brother-in-law the previous December after the body had been discovered. And afterward, he discovered the Rubaiyat lying in the back seat of his car. He thought nothing of it until he saw media reports about its ties to the mystery man and brought it to the police. The corner of the book's final page had been torn out, and police were fairly confident it was the origin of the Tamam Shod paper found on the Somerton Man. On the book, detectives found a phone number written across the rear cover, along with indentations of scrambled numbers and letters left behind by someone either accidentally or purposefully. The phone number turned out to belong to a nurse who lived near the beach and preferred to be identified by her nickname, Jestin. Because she was in a relationship at the time, she wished to remain anonymous and only reluctantly admitted to giving a copy of the book to a man she knew during World War II named Alfred Boxall. The only problem for investigators was that Boxall was still very much alive. During further questioning, Jestin was shown a cast of the Somerton Man's torso and head, although she reportedly seemed completely taken aback to the point of giving the appearance she was about to faint. She denied recognizing him. Some have since suggested that Jestin perhaps knew the dead man from work. She did during the war, a period of her life somewhat shrouded in secrecy. After her death, Jestin's daughter, in an interview, revealed that her mother spoke fluent Russian and suggested she could have been involved in espionage activities. She also stated her mum deliberately concealed things during questioning by the police and said she believed her mother knew the Somerton Man. That left only the final clue from the book, 5 lines of jumbled letters indented on its cover that appeared to be some sort of secret code. Seen here as revealed by ultraviolet light, the message was sent to cipher experts in Australia and abroad for assistance cracking it. But the Australian intelligence ultimately concluded the code was unbreakable. They believed that the letter frequencies likely corresponded with, quote, initial letters of words in English, but there was an insufficient number of letters for definite conclusions. The discovery of the secret code has fueled rumors that the Somerton Man could have been a spy, in which case some governments may have had an interest in concealing his identity. In fact, Justin's daughter stated that her mother believed the Somerton Man mystery was, quote, known to a level higher than the police force, but did not provide any further supporting evidence of the claim. Progress in the case languished, until a 2009 investigation hit upon the fact that the Somerton Man's upper ear hollow was larger than his lower ear hollow. This was indicative of a condition occurring in less than 2% of Caucasians on Earth. Curiously, Justin's eldest son, Robin, born just after war, had the same abnormal dimensions in his ears. The chance of this occurring only by coincidence was determined to be about 1 in 15 million, leading many to speculate that the Somerton Man had fathered a child with Justin over nearly 7 decades. Speculation has persisted that the Somerton Man might have been a Soviet spy. The absence of identification, the mysterious code, and the circumstances of his death fueled espionage theories. Since the Somerton Man's discovery, Millions of dollars and countless hours have been spent trying to solve the case. Hundreds of people have come forward, claiming to know the man's identity, but none has been proven. After more than 70 years, a breakthrough occurred, and finally, authorities agreed to exhume the body. In 2021, researcher Derek Abbott from the University of Adelaide analysed preserved DNA from hairs used to create a plaster model of the man's face. Abbott collaborated with US forensic expert Colleen Fitzpatrick to build an extended family tree using DNA. From 4,000 names, they narrowed it down to one, Carl Webb Charles Jr. Charles, a Melbourne-born electrical engineer, was not a Russian agent, but a regular man. He was born in 1905, married Dorothy Robertson, known as Doff Webb, and likely ended up in Adelaide due to family connections. While the mystery of the Somerton Man has fascinated generations, the most accurate conclusion now points to Carl Webb Charles Jr. His identity has been confirmed through DNA analysis, but the secrets of the unbroken code and the circumstances of his death remain shrouded in darkness. Thank you for watching our exploration of these haunting unsolved murder cases. If you found this video intriguing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling mysteries and true crime content. Together, let's keep delving into the unknown. Stay curious, and may the search for truth continue.